Hi Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube and the digital universe. I'm Tabby Wells and I'm the creator of Small Gods, which is a dystopian television show that I've been working on for the past few months. What started off with just writing a pilot episode script has evolved into something much bigger than I ever thought it could be. We've had multiple rehearsed readings over Zoom, we've had original concept art and music created, and we're now at the stage where the project is going to be pitched to different production companies and studios. So what is Small Gods, you might ask? Well, Small Gods is set in the post-apocalyptic city of Nightwing, 35 years after a chemical war. In this city, there are multiple different guilds that are warring for absolute power, from a guild of ancient assassins to a very corrupt law enforcement, all under the rule of tyrannical government. But little do they know that there is a very ominous and perhaps extraterrestrial force lurking underneath that threatens life as they know it. As the project is in the pitching stage, we wanted to thank all of our followers and supporters by introducing a new piece of content that personally I think you guys will find really exciting. Recently, I've been having interviews with the cast of the final rehearsed read, asking them questions about the world so that you can get a better insight into what Small Gods is really about and why we all love it so much. There are multiple interviews for you to sit through, so you can sit whilst having a cup of tea on a rainy day or maybe on your way to work, or just as something in the background. But I'm hoping that they keep you hooked and give you a reason to keep supporting this project, which we're so unbelievably grateful for. So sit down, get comfortable, and most of all, enjoy.
Well, firstly, joblessness on Twitter. Well, it was. You posted a tweet and I went, oh, this looks cool. Let me just submit myself. Yeah, why not? So that's what first drew me to the initial world of Small Gods, joblessness on Twitter during a pandemic. But then what really drew me is, and of course I've told you this many times, I got the script, I read it, and I had shivers. I just went, oh, this is different. This is gripping. This is funny. This is tad ridiculous. It's a little bit gory. It's just like it had so many elements that were like, I need to know more. Like I had to know more. And yeah, it just hooked me from day dot. And like as I said, I had shivers. Like reading it, I was like, oh yeah, like that. That's funny. Like a proper laugh out loud moments reading it as well. So yeah, that's what drew me. It was just a world that you had created, a set of characters that you had created that were so compelling and gripping that I just went, I want to know more. The first thing I would say is the characters. You've created a world where diversity and difference is the norm. It is celebrated. It is standard, as it should be. People of all varying genders, people of all ethnicities. It's just the norm. And for me, it felt like a little bit of an escape to just imagine a world where that is the norm. And I have to think about it like that is the norm. And that for me was an escapism I haven't felt in a show in a really long time. So first of all, it was the characters, but then as the subsequent, the worlds that you created, that escape that felt really, and it was on reading. Like I hadn't seen anything. It was purely on reading that I felt, oh, I'm in this world and I can see the streets that they're walking down, that the buildings that are in there, the Small Gods guild office looks like. I saw arches. I could immediately visualize the spaces that we were in. You've created something that's really, as I said, compelling, funny. Oh my God, real laugh out loud moments, like real, like. You remember on the first read through that we did, because you kept us all on screen, and luckily I was on mute, but I literally almost fell off the chair at some point. I was like, lol. So you've created something that's funny, but that's clearly heartfelt, like a moment in the first episode where we find out there's been a loss and the way it affects one of the characters. I saw the look on the actor's face and I went, oh, and this hurts different. And yeah, so I just think it's something we haven't seen before, but it also encompasses some things we have seen before, but in a new way that we haven't seen before, and in a way that I think will really kind of grip the world. And not everything is about romantic love. There is so much more in the world about platonic love, about just life, not even involving love, about friendship, again, not even involving friendship love, which does exist. That I think it's not a necessity. There's something about romantic love that I get does connect with audiences. But I don't, this was a script that I felt like the lack of romantic love it didn't mean anything was missing. Quite the opposite. It was so full of other things. I wasn't even cognizant of the lack of romantic love. When I read her for the first time, I saw elements of myself and elements that I wished were a part of me. That assuredness in your ability, in your brains, in what you bring to the table. It's beautiful. A slight lack of filter. You know the line I'm talking about. As soon as I read it, I went, that's something I would say. And that is immediately how I felt when we did it in the read. And it worked so well in the read. Then on further discussion with you about the character and realizing that everything I thought about her is what you were thinking too, made me fall deeper in love with her. Firstly, she's a fashion icon and it's something I aspire to be. The fact that she uses her brains for the betterment of others and to protect what she considers her family, the protectiveness she has over the guild, over the people in the guild, the reverence she has for the work they do, her smarts in how she does her job. Like, I'm really excited, hopefully, to maybe explore that. And just her, she seems like a really pure-hearted person. And who doesn't want to play that kind of character? It adds humor. It also is a necessity, because in the world you've created, order is required. But even those of us living in the world that we live in now, if things aren't communicated correctly, we see how order is lost. We saw that as part of this pandemic when we didn't feel like our government really knew what they were doing or were communicating correctly what was meant to be happening. Everyone went, well, since you don't really know what you're talking about, I'm just going to do whatever the heck I want to do. And I kind of can't blame the public for the way they reacted. There wasn't really clear guidance or messaging about what was going on.
Yeah.
So I think her role is vital, because when you have clear messaging about what the guild is up to, it allows for order to be maintained in the community. So yeah, a really necessary role, but also hilarious and ridiculous about how you're going to spin this person. We've just killed this person. Usually it's clean. Sometimes it's not. And it's the ones that aren't clean that we need to figure out. It's ridiculous, but it's necessary. I repeat, like, if you don't have someone controlling the narrative of how the guild works, how do you think the people who live will react to what the guild does? Because clearly they are an established organization. How does that make me as a regular citizen feel unless there is messaging saying this was the reason, this was how it was done, this was where it came from? Then I'm like, okay, I get it. I may not agree with it, but I get it.
Yeah.
Right, I'm doing a Shakespeare show called Bard in the Yard. There's a piece in there that goes, sometimes we need art after a tragedy to help us translate our emotions. For me, this is art that helps translate emotions. And this show manages to encompass a bit of everything in this art form that covers so many emotions and allows us to translate them. I think it will be a cultural phenomenon. I've felt it from the moment I read it. It's just, yeah. And I've been excited to be at the start of the journey and to see where it goes.